Oh yes. You know what's interesting is we are going to do a review on this awesome custom piece, and this is really unique. You're looking at it, you're like, okay, it's Thor, but it's not the Thor you know. Hell, it's not even the Thor I know. Mr. X here with the Extreme channel, where we have extreme collectibles, and we just got in a new piece, a Thor on Throne. I'm a huge Throne guy. I love Throne statues, and I love Thor, so couldn't resist it. I went ahead and bought him. I bought this 2 years ago, and I just got it. What do you mean? Well, this is a custom piece, so it's a private commission. They only made 40, and you purchase these when they come up with the idea. So they may have a digital render or sculpt, which is traditionally what's going on, and you purchase it then, and then you wait, and there's always delays and production issues, as you can imagine with a very small run. And I just got them. It's from a custom company that we don't talk about, but I've never purchased from before. I'm very happy with the piece. Now, where I'm a little bit confused is I don't know the storyline of this Thor. Well, what do you mean, Mr. X? First of all, this is not the Thor that pop culture knows today. It is not Chris, or whatever the fuck his name is. Who played Thor in the MCU? Snow White guy. I don't remember his name. But it is not that Thor. Why can't I remember his name? I've been sick for like a week, and I just unboxed... Never mind. This is going to go bad. Buckle up. But it is not from the MCU, which is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It is not from your traditional Thor. It is from a story called Unworthy Thor, which I know nothing about, and right before I filmed this, I tried to Google it, and I didn't get a clear answer. All I got was he can no longer lift his hammer, and he finds a different hammer, which might make sense, because this is like a mix between Stormbreaker and Mjolnir. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not good at it, and I don't want to try, because you nerds will go all over me. That's right, I called you nerd. I'm a nerd too. It's okay. Solidarity. But also, there's something tied in with Jane Foster, which might even be in the MCU. So we'll figure out or you guys figure that out, and you tell me in the comments, because I got so much to do. If you wanted to see me unbox him, I just did in a live video that I left up on YouTube. It's 3 custom unboxings in a row. So go check that out, and then you'll also see what I'm going to review tomorrow and the very next day. But anyway, I purchased him. Cost on him was $1,300. $1,300, $1,300 plus shipping from China, which was another couple hundred, which I was really hesitant, because that's a little pricey for a quarter scale. Means he's 1/4 the size of what he should be in real life. But I really wanted him. As I said, I have a huge Throne collection. I actually have a Loki on Throne. It's one of the first reviews I ever did on YouTube. It may be the first review I actually ever did. And I have another custom Loki on Throne shipping next week. Which, that means Extrumble, baby. If you don't know what that is, go look at Extrumble. Xtrumble on my channel. But got him in. He came in a number of pieces we're going to talk about in design. And what we're going to do is we are going to review this guy using the extreme scale. If you're new to the channel, this is the extreme scale. It's essentially 1 through 5. T on the far left means trash. X on the far right is 5 out of 5. It's the best. V, W, or X is all good. V, very nice. 3 out of 5 is good. So we're going to look at the concept. We're going to look at the design, paint, sculpt, overall aspect of the statue. Let's get dimensions on him first. And I took my pants off for the review. If you saw the unboxing, I kept my pants on for you guys. But the diameter of the circular base is probably about 16 inches. And we're going to say that's pretty similar all around. And the highest point is probably the top of his throne here, which is just over 17.5 inches or so, give or take. But super cool piece. I'm trying to think of more info on him. And I don't know the storyline of Unworthy Thor. I don't know if he kills Thanos. Obviously, you see Thanos at the bottom here. So let's just talk about that with concept of this piece. And when we say concept, did they nail what they were trying to nail? Does it make sense? Does it follow a story? Does it follow their own story? Well, first of all, this is a throne piece. And as I said, I love thrones. I have Loki throne, Hulk throne, Thanos throne, Galactus Throne, Doom Throne, Apocalypse Throne, Magneto Throne, Deadpool Throne, and so many more coming. But he'll look fantastic next to Loki, I think. I'm not going to give you guys a sneak peek because you're going to get a tour of my throne room in the next few weeks. So just stay tuned for that. But starting at the bottom, as I said, he's in some type of throne. Really makes you think of a godly type throne. Thor is a god or a demigod, half god or full god. And he's sitting in a throne room, which you would typically think of with, lots of stone and majestic. But it's kind of old, kind of worn. So I don't know if he became a rebel or if this is the end times. And Thanos is smashed on the bottom. And obviously Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet on. And Thor is holding his weapon over him. And as I said, maybe one of you can educate me. I don't think this is Stormbreaker, even though it looks like it. But I think it's a different advanced type of hammer because it has the same thing printed that his hammer does on the side, which is whosoever have this hammer and may he be worthy, have the power of Thor, whatever. And he's leaning forward. He's really battered and bruised. He's been in a fight, and it's a fresh fight. So now he's exhausted. He's finished his day. His cape is flowing in the wind. He has a couple different switch out options. One of them lights up, you're going to see, and really shows his lightning power, his thunder power. And it's a classic throne. It really is. It shows how powerful he is, how strong he is. He's accomplished what he's wanted to accomplish. That's kind of the typical throne scenario. His enemies are vanquished on the bottom. Love the concept. Thor is a god. He's one of the guys that, if everybody went to battle, he would be definitely one of the winners, if not the winner at the end. And I think they nailed the concept on this. However, I don't know if it follows the Unworthy Thor storyline, and that's my fault. So I really don't want to bash them for that. But we're going to go ahead and give the concept a W, a 4 out of 5. To my knowledge, it's the only Thor throne out there. And I think they did great, really showing his power, his heritage, some of the stuff we're going to talk about when we get really close-ups on him. Now we're going to talk about the design. When we talk about design, did it fit together well? Are there cool switch outs? What do the switch outs do? One of the things I really want to highlight is, and you couldn't see the packaging too well in the unboxing because I left it below here, it was packaged extremely well, not only from a security standpoint where nothing broke, but from a condensing standpoint where they were able to keep the box smaller and the shipping less. And with shipping custom statues, if you watched my Extreme Topics statue collecting for dummies, sometimes custom statue shipping, it seems like it averages over $400 just for the shipping nowadays. So I really appreciate that. But on the design, he did have some switch outs. So he has two different portraits. Let's look at those. Here's the first one. And it's kind of your standard portrait. We're going to do a review of this up close. He looks badass. Very accomplished, very mean. And then another portrait here. It's the exact same thing except the eyes are different. They're whited out and there's some blue around them to kind of show his power. And here is why. They actually light up. So that's a pretty neat thing they added to it. But I think there's a flaw in that. You're going to do two different portraits, which is great to offer your customer. Let's make them different other than just one aspect. While I think the light up feature is fantastic, I think they should have either just offered just this portrait or made the other one completely different. Whether he was more angry or calm, just something in the middle. I think that's a miss. Another miss they have on the design is the seam line with the portrait, because it's switch out portraits, is definitely noticeable. Thankfully, it's very small because of the way his chin comes down, but you can definitely see that there is a seam, and that's on both portraits. Also, the way he sits, I talked about this during the unboxing. His butt's actually not on the throne. His clothes are. His clothes are rising him off the throne. Here's some pictures. Now, to nitpick, you can only see this if you stick his head between his legs, which I don't plan to do regularly, just every once in a while. But it is something worth looking at, worth mentioning. And somebody else brought this up, and initially, what I really liked is how the cape is flowing. They're like, why would it be flowing when he's just sitting there? That's a great point. It doesn't make sense. I think it makes it look cooler, but it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of an interesting point. I don't know if it's good or bad. So when it comes to design, there's one other thing that really bothers me. The Infinity Gauntlet is huge. It's huge. It's more than twice the size of Thor, maybe 3 times bigger. And Thanos was not 3 times larger than Thor to my knowledge. So either Thor is underscaled, which I think he's pretty close. He might be a little smaller than 1/4. Or the Infinity Gauntlet is overscaled, which is obviously the key. Here's a picture of both his hand next to the Infinity Gauntlet. So with design, it's kind of some good things, some bad things. I think it's nice though, but nothing to write home about. It's a V right in the middle, very nice. And I'm not sure how many projects this group has come out with. I do know there's a few in collectors' hands prior to this, but it's something they can work on for the next ones. And most of the things I talked about are very minuscule, not things you look at. So let's dive into the paint and sculpt. We always talk about the paint and sculpt at the same time. We go from bottom to top. And then we rate them separately at the end if their grade differs. And this will be the case just like that. So let's start on the base here. And I think they did a good job. There's not a ton of texture on it, which you guys know I really like texture on my stone. But that sounds dirty. But I don't think there needs to be because this is kind of a fabricated throne. I like the fact that it's almost like paving stones all throughout. So it's like somebody's built this. And on the back of it, it's very symmetrical, very even. It's not broken up like it is on the front. Here on the front, you see it's broken because he smashed Thanos' head and the Infinity Gauntlet down so much where the stones are actually broken. And in this, the gray paint they used, they threw specks of white all over, and it really gives it a little bit more contrast to the statue, which was smart. And here you see Thanos' blood. Before we look at his portrait, we'll just look at the blood here. It's way too much blood. I love bloody statues, but because it's purple, they shouldn't have done this much blood. They kind of did a resin effect on top of it just to make it shinier. The blood's okay. It's not bad, but I think it would have been better if there was less of it. Let's look at Thanos' face. They didn't spend a lot of time on this. And it's not your typical Thanos you see. I don't know how accurate it is to the Unworthy Thor comics, or even if he was in it. But it looks average. Both the paint and the sculpt on it. I like the teeth a lot, ironically. But if that's the thing that's jumping out as the best. Then here's the Infinity Gauntlet. I think it looks really good. I like the gold color they used. Very worn, smashed. The way the jewels look in it. The size is really my only complaint, but I think the paint and sculpt looks good, and the colors do a nice job adding a little bit more to the statue. Let's look at his hammer, and like I said, I don't know if this is his original hammer that's been altered, it's a different hammer, or it's supposed to be Stormbreaker. But it looks really good. I think it could have used a little bit more wear, but then it doesn't get damaged in battle either. And I want to look at his arm right now. I didn't really talk about this in concept, but I don't know the storyline behind the arm. It's really cool looking, of course. Looks like he stole Bucky's arm, but I think maybe he got that so he could lift the hammer. Now, because he wasn't worthy to lift it, and now he's able to do it. I'm not really sure the storyline. Maybe someone can write in the comments, but it looks really cool. It's a different color than the hammer to give the statue contrast. And very robotic. And I don't know if it's his whole arm was torn off and he replaced it with this. I'm going to have to find out after this. I'm really, really curious. But it looks good. Let's start, I almost want to say his shoes, but he has these wrappings all over his legs, all the way up to past his knees. I don't know what's going on here, but it's great texture. It looks really good. The layering on it, the coloring. Really makes you think of, Celtic, Nordic, Viking type clothing, which obviously you think of when you think of Thor's heritage. It even has some straps on the side. Looks great. Great texture. And I'm going to say the same thing about his pants. Kind of baggy. They're torn up. This dark blue color. Some cool seams. They did a great job with both the paint and sculpt. And then his dress, first his loincloth, again, ties back to that Celtic Viking type feel. This is completely metal, so he wants to, protect his junk. These cool squares on there, some damage. On the sides, kind of hard to see with the pictures here, but this is actually what's holding him up. This is what I was talking about earlier. It's this leather type brown color. Looks good. I love his belt. He's got a few different parts of his belt. One is the actual belt around his waist. Kind of this interesting rubber tire effect, which it's weird to think of it that way. With these large metallic buttons, or what they are, with another braided strap on the front. And then look at his shirt. I really dig this shirt. I love the texture on it. I love the light blue color they chose. The trim on the sides of it, and how it's sitting. So he's hunched forward. It follows the flow of the statue. There's a few different of that teal blue color, or whatever that is in there. Let's look at his arms. Great job on the musculature and anatomy. Perfect for Thor. He's very, very buff, but not too muscle on muscle. And the skin tones are done awesome. They did a great job with this skin tone, and you can see the pinks and then the blues on the veins. And you see some battle damage on both arms. Looks like fresh cuts. They look real. His right arm, he has this gauntlet. This leather type color with what I assume are some Asgardian type writing on it. Some straps holding it on the bottom. Looks really good. His hand, I mentioned this during the unboxing. Huge problem with the hand. Look in between the fingers. The casting, when it was printed, just looks bad. There shouldn't be skin in between those, almost like web fingers. So I think that's a quality issue, but the coloring on it looks great. And the sculpt is good. Check out his chest, hairy chest. It's all sculpted in there, right in the middle. Very, very cool. And we talked about the directionality of his cape didn't make sense, but his cape is done really well. I love how torn up it is, because it was an epic battle, I'm sure, for him to get his hammer or fight Thanos or both. Different colorings in there to add to the age and fading of it, the holes, the flow. It's a fantastic sculpt and paint job. I really, really like both on the cape. So we'll look at his portrait first that has the eyes, the non-light up feature. His skin seems a little bit darker here, which is interesting. But I think they did a great job on the sculpt of the facial hair and the paint of it. Some darker tones added into that golden Thor hair color. Skin a little darker. Eyes look good. They almost look bloodshot. He's looking a little bit up, which is kind of nice. Because he's still staring off into, God knows where. Very stoic look. And some more cuts on his head. These aren't done as well as the ones on his arms, but they're not as deep. His hair looks good too. I like how in the back it's a shorter style. So it's bunched a little bit more together. Goes up into kind of a faux hawk on the front. A front mohawk. And then the only difference really is there's a little bit more sculpt around his eyes, giving his eyes kind of an evil expression. And then they're whited out with some blue on top of them. With the paint. Super, super cool piece. Going to throw up a link to my Loki review. This is one of my first reviews, so I did a horrible job. Wasn't a fucking pro like I am now. But I think it's an awesome, awesome piece. 1 of 40. Stoked to have him. I am not going to get rid of this one for a long time, if at all. Props to the people who made it. Let's rate it really quick. So the link to the Loki will be at the end. I got ahead of myself. Sometimes I go too fast. She said that too. But paint, I think the pros are definitely Thor himself. Not only his skin, but his clothing. The base is good. The paint on Thanos, his blood is really and his face is really the thing that's not amazing. But I think it's a 4 out of 5. I think it's a W on the paint. Really well done. Great factory paint job. Sculpt, again, I think Thor's the star. The rest of the sculpt is V for very nice. I like a lot of what they did with the Infinity Gauntlet. There's not a ton you can go into in the chair. One of the things we didn't talk about, I didn't show. Here's a picture right here. Some Asgardian writing on the back of the throne. I forgot that I missed this. And then here's some sides of the throne. I don't think I showed this either. I've been traveling a lot. This is my first review I've filmed in like a week, and I usually do it almost daily. But on the sculpt, I think this is a tough one. You know, I vowed anytime I'm between two grades, which I'm between a V for very nice and W for rail, I'm going to go with the lower one. This one was close, but it's going to go V, very nice. Now I have an even tougher decision. I have 2 very nices, 2 W's. So is it a V overall or is it a W overall? Honestly, I'm kind of just looking at the wow factor. This has a big wow factor. It's a W. This is a rail. What a rail is a 4 out of 5. It's not a grail by any means, but it is a statue that most people will really want. And this really makes me want to dive into the Unworthy Thor comics. I'll have to check that out. So let me know your thoughts on it. Fill me in, please, if you know about the Unworthy Thor, and check out some of my other reviews in the meantime. Take care, guys.